This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 81 of Beers in the Lot. In this episode, we started off talking about some after-whistle shenanigans that happened in Danny and John's game on Monday night. Then we were kind of all over the place. We talked about the Wings and Leafs game that had a football score. Somehow started talking about the fantasy league that Daniel and I don't care about. And we finished on a high note talking about Taco Bell. So let's get to it.
Let's crack some beers. Refreshing.
What you got there, Daniel?
I have a tropical torpedo. It's a tropical IPA. I really want spring to be here, so I'm trying to bring the sun. It's got a sun on the can. Ready for some warm weather.
Yep.
What do you got tonight, John?
I'm drinking from our bros at Flying Dog, friends of Flying Dog, Snake Dog IPA. So staple, yeah, one of their consistencies. What about you, Aaron?
I got a repeat from Great Lakes Brewing Company, Elliott Ness Amber Lager.
Was that the same as last week?
No, last week I had a very, very ill-timed Moscow Mule.
Oh, that's right.
No, it's just a mule.
Just a mule. Yes,
mule.
there we go. That's it. I had a mule.
I was going to say, if it was double, back-to-back weeks, that's a fine. I don't know what we'd fine you, but it'd be a fine.
Nope. I think I did have it the week before, but I did have a different drink last week.
Be some economic sanctions coming your way.
It's the drink that shall not be named.
Yeah, pretty much. First, I think we should address the elephant in the room. And that is that Riggs is missing for the third week in a row. And he wanted us to let you guys know that he's doing fine. He was battling more than your average illness and not COVID. But he is on the upswing right now and is planning to be back for next week. And he's got a story to tell us. So definitely tune in next week. He's got a really good message for everyone. So that being said, let's move on. I heard that you and another teammate last night almost got into a bit of a scuffle over a penalty call of some sort. Is this?
Yeah, John. Why don't you tell us about
this, John?
I don't 100% know what you're talking about, but I'll explain the play. Sure. So Danny and I had our game last night. The other league, him and I play in it. What was it? A 10 o'clock game?
Oh, brutal.
First of all, I think everyone's a little ornery at that point anyway. Like, that's not like 9:30. And after that, I'm kind of like, all right, start times. And I don't mail it in by any standards, but I know like we're all a little hot around the collar because like we're like, I'm literally stealing hours from tomorrow, like with your bedtime. Anyway, so me and another mutual friend, I was playing center, he was playing wing, and he normally is a little hot potato on the ice. I love him to death. He's usually a little hot potato. So me and this guy were in front of the net, puck battling for it, and he, I tripped him. It is what it is. I was a little careless with my stick, reached in, tripped him. Okay. So, of course, when he's down on the ice, he says something, and he very gingerly just taps me on my shin pads. I said, easy there, champ, or something of that. I think there was a little more colorful language, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But he got up and hit me again. This time a little harder. I was a little aggravated at this point, so I hit him again. And I was like, what the fuck is your problem? And then I don't know, like in the course of things, but him and I kind of got a little close together. and our buddy was right next to me. And at one point, I had my hand on his collar because he just wouldn't shut the hell up. And then the ref even came over like, what is your guys' problem? Like, you guys need to chill. And someone on his team actually said, like, are you guys going to fight? And the guy next to me, who was our mutual buddy, just goes, oh, you want some of this too? Like, it was just like and then the best is we were in the box and he just kind of was just, he was staring over. So at one point I just go like, you got a problem? Like, what's your deal? Like, it's done. And he's like, yeah, you slash really hard, buddy. And I was like, your wife hits me harder with a whip. Like, that's what I said. And he got super upset, and then just like he sulked.
No.
And then the rest of the game, it was totally fine. Like, I was just like, I just ended it very quickly. And even our buddy just goes, he's like, that's all you're gonna say? I'm like, it's done. He hasn't said a word. Like, it's over. But at one point too, the refs, and I'm sure a lot of people can sympathize with this too. Like, in beer league, a lot of times you get newer refs or guys that aren't 100% clarified of the rules. And I will be the first one to admit, a lot of the freaking players don't know the rules anyway. So he came to the box and was just explaining, hey, because it was technically 2 penalties on ours. One was coincidental with me and the other guy. And then our buddy got an extra. So he just was clarifying, hey, first penalty on you guys, it is out after 2 minutes. And then the next 2 guys, so the other guy with the coincidental and our buddy, it was out after the whistle. So I just said, do you care who goes first? And he just straight up said, no, I don't care. So I was like, oh, cool. Awesome. So I looked at my buddy, hey, you want to go out first? Technically, like, you got, the extra one there. That's your fault. And he started laughing. He goes, yeah, I'll sit. And then the guy in the other penalty box was like, that's not fair. And I was like, you don't even know the rules. Like, so, I mean, I think if it was like an actual, and I think the way it would actually be done, that's actually the way it is, I think.
Well, the ref would have to specify who the 2 were in the coincidental, and they would have to sit until after the whistle.
Correct. And I know for a fact, I looked kind of how it was written up. I got a tripping, and then the 2 guys both got unsportsmanlike, which offset. So I was right.
You should have been the one to go out. Yeah.
Which I was, but at the time I kind of was like, oh, I didn't even hear like what he called me for. Because he could have called me for unsportsmanlike or or whatever. So
because it sounds like you were pretty unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, generally. But then because me and our other buddy, the passionate ones on our team were in the box, we had a great penalty power where that's the opposite of the power kill.
It's a power
kill. That's right.
Yeah.
So
the beer league
got twice goals on the same short-handed chance, and then later in the game when we tied it up, I got one.
You had Danny got the tying, and you got the
GWG. Yeah. So
you got the
passionately powering my team to victory by any means necessary.
That league is interesting. When I played that league with Daniel, when we were down like 7-2 at some point in this game, and there was like 3 minutes left in the third, and then we just stacked up the lines and scored like 5 or 6 straight to come back and win when we were down by like 4 or 5 goals.
Was that the game that we won it with like .2 left on the clock?
We scored a goal in the third with nothing left on the clock to go ahead. Like, it was ridiculous. So it doesn't surprise me.
That was one of the times that I actually celebrated after.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's different. Yeah. Yeah. That's a little different. I mean, most of the time, yeah, who cares? But yeah, to go ahead with only like a second or so left, that's pretty cool. That's worth celebrating.
So couple things to note in the story. Our buddy got the penalty because I guess you missed it. He slashed the guy in the back of the knee after he slashed you.
Oh, really?
Got him right in the back of the knee.
God.
So that's why he got the penalty. And the second thing was
that's even better.
The person who asked if you were going to fight was the ref.
Oh, really? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow. He animal. What a savage. Actually, that's even better that he told that to the ref, because the refs actually are super cool guys. Like every ref we've had in that league, in OFBG too. Like I like all the refs. I always, I give them nonsense here and there in a funny way.
He may have not known that it was from the ref.
I'm willing to bet he didn't, because I didn't think it was from the ref. But the weird thing was when, like, I know for a fact when that guy, because he wasn't that much taller than me. He was somewhat not as short as me, but whatever. When I had my hand on his collar, kind of like moving him a little bit, I could definitely tell, like, he was like, this is not a good situation. And no one on his team, like, kind of came over. I was just more like annoyed because he slashed like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, dude, all right, you got me once. I tripped you. Sorry. Right, it's a penalty, whatever. I was a little careless with my stick. I'm not denying that. But, like, all right, it's over. We're done with it.
I saw you guys, and then you guys you were skating at the guy still, and when everything was going on, I just skated over there in case anything did pop off. I was getting ready to get in the middle as well.
This is so fun.
And as I skated by, I just kind of like bumped the guy. I'm like, you don't want any of
this is not good.
It's because it'll be 3-on-1. No. Nobody on your team is coming.
I'm not a thug or a goon or like a derelict on the ice. I'm not, like, but
you got a mouth, but you're not the kind to, like.
But certain situations it sets me off, and 99% of the time when I'm just running my mouth, it's just to be cheeky and funny. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not to be a jerk or anything. It's just to be comical and, like, bring some levity to the situation. I mean, when we play on Sunday nights, I am harassing every single person.
You harassed your teammates.
And my teammates. Because I remember last season you got the puck and I was on the bench and I just yelled, "Skate, you piece of shit." And everybody on our team started laughing. Everyone on our team started laughing. They thought it was the funniest thing ever. So,
it's motivation.
It's motivation.
That's what it is, man. It's all motivation.
Aaron was out there like, man, I really need to skate now.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't at all.
Yeah, narrator voice. Spoiler, he didn't.
Yeah, spoiler alert, he didn't. But because we only get
speed never changed.
But because we only get 8 players to show up to games, Aaron continued to get a regular shift. So it doesn't matter. So,
as a paying member of the league, he was guaranteed ice time.
Correct. Yeah. We need like the Morgan Freeman voice. Like Morgan Freeman's voice to narrate that.
Yeah.
But
what else is happening in hockey?
There's hockey.
Yeah, hockey. Hockey.
Well,
it's been kind of distracting the last few days.
Yeah, this is very true.
Go ahead.
Well, Saturday night was interesting for 2 reasons. The Leafs and the Red Wings played a game, which in this era of hockey, it is the highest combined score in a game. The Maple Leafs won 10-7 against.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, against the Wings. And the worst part is going into the 3rd period, they were up 7 or 6-1, which is frightening to begin with because that is beer league stuff. I actually said something like, "Hey, our 2 beer league goalies are playing in the Wings Leafs game." But they actually, like, now, especially with stats, which is kind of cool, you could track. There's this advanced analytical stat they call expected goals. And it tracks based on previous historical records of the goalie, shot quality, shot distance, those who are shooting, amount of shots, and then even kind of like distance. And there's a bunch of things that go into it. That game should have ended like 4-2 for the Leafs. So, like, the goalies were just abysmal. So if you I think both goalies, all 4 goalies got play. Yeah, all 4 goalies got play. And I don't think any of them had like a very good save percentage, period. It was not good. It was not good. So if you have Mitch Marner in fantasy, it looked pretty good.
Oh, I did. I don't think I set my lineup though since week 2.
Week 2?
Yeah.
Amateur, lazy.
Aaron did it
guy.
draft day.
I did it draft day. I forgot about it.
Set it and forget it.
Hey, it won me a league one year, so it's my strategy. It's a winning strategy.
Oh,
how mad
everybody
were they?
was so mad. Because it was one of those leagues where you like had to pay $1 every time you made a trade or whatever. So some of these guys made like 20, 30 trades thinking that they were going to win.
Gosh.
Nope. They just boosted the pot for me.
I think like if you, especially fantasy hockey, like if you do your due diligence, like you should, barring injuries or something crazy, you should be fine.
And I think that's what happened. I think lots of people had injuries and I didn't. I just got super lucky on my draw.
I've had a lot of injured hombres on my team. So
that'll happen.
I don't even what's the standings right now?
I haven't looked at
I passed Riggs like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I've been ahead like by 1 point, then 2 points, then 3 points, and then it was like is down. I think we were as close as like 2.3 points or something, and now I think I'm up a couple because I don't think he's dealt with it the last couple of weeks. But
who's winning the battle for the basement between me and Daniel?
I don't care because I don't pay attention to your bunk fantasy teams.
Either.
I just think who has Marner's and Matthew? Is that you, Danny?
Me,
yeah, you're in dead last. Way to go, champ.
Yeah,
so you do know
actually
is winning.
Well, no. I know. Yeah. But
gotcha.
I think that has to be some like fantasy hockey award. Danny will have like the Rocket Richard champion and like probably top 5 guy in scoring in the league, and he finishes in the basement of in a league of 4.
I'm pretty sure I have Ovechkin, and I'm definitely not doing well.
Bunch of flunkies.
I've got Ovechkin, McKinnon, Crosby. Crosby's been on the bench. That might be part of my problem. Whatever. Who cares? Anyway.
Actually, the one player that has helped me significantly this year, we did draft a player of your own name, Jonathan Huberdeau. He's had a really good season.
Yeah.
Good for him. I know at one point he was league lead for points. I think him, McDavid, and Draisaitl will keep going like 1, 2, 3 and switch that place. So we'll see.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's been a little distracting though to keep up with hockey. Riggs actually sent us something on Discord about Dmitry Kristich, a Ukrainian native who played for the Caps, 800 some games for the Caps, and he's gone back to Ukraine to help fight. There's lots of stories surrounding that going on right now. Which
I know he was talking to Gretzky a little bit. Gretzky actually, I will say this about Wayne Gretzky: like normally he does not comment on how hockey should be ran or what's going on. He just talks about growing the game and doing growth initiatives and being a good ambassador. This is one of the few times I ever recall him in my life where he has said, like, this is what the NHL should do. This is what IIHF should do moving forward based on, the, unfortunate issues we're having over in Europe right now. So the IIHF yesterday suspended Belarus and Russia from all competitions moving forward. And
they canceled the event. It was coming up, right?
So they had World Championships in, I believe that was St. Petersburg. And then they were going to host the World Junior Championships in Omsk. And I forget the other city with that, but the IIHF removed those events. And the IIHF, like the last couple of years, because of the fact Russia does have VIP status, which it does, so it's a hockey power. They have a lot of say in where events go and what they do. And the IIHF, to my knowledge, has never had to vote on anything they brought up before the council. Everything has been a discussion, and maybe it gets heated, but then they all come to a common ground. Yesterday, I don't know how the vote went. I imagine, frankly, I don't see much of a vote happening. I know the ambassador of the IIHF for Russia is Pavel Bure. So if it was put to a vote, interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I highly doubt they've never had to deal with an issue like this. But also too, like if it went to a vote, I mean, well, we could say it. A lot of the Russians aren't fully supportive of the war. Yeah. So, and I don't know what Bure's stance is, nor is it my business. Like that's his. But it would have been interesting to hear his kind of thoughts. I mean, maybe at one point.
Right. Like real quick, I want to talk to, I mean, we don't need to go too deep into this, but like the reporter that was badgering Alex Ovechkin about what he thought about the war. God, you can't do that. Like John just said, a lot of Russians are not in favor of this war. And at the same time, they have family back home who could see repercussions based on what they say. I don't care what a Russian celebrity has to say about support for or against the war. They're in the worst possible position right now. I would expect them to say nothing but right in the middle, to neither support nor deny. I wouldn't expect anything different, and to try to bait somebody into saying something one way or the other, that could be dangerous for their family. I think that's terrible journalism, honestly. But
yeah, that was crappy.
And I really also want to condemn Dominic Hasek's take on suspending all Russian players and all that. That's a bad take too, in my opinion. I'm going to go on record and say that's a bad.
Well,
take.
here's where I kind of look at it from his stance. I don't agree with it, but here's my kind of thought process on that. He grew up kind of under that Soviet Union era, so him and his countrymen had to deal with a lot of the oppression and dealing with it. Yeah, or Czechia as it's called now. His country had to deal with a lot of that hardship and ramifications for that. So like I understand he is a little more like staunch in his stance, like, no, this is like, I'm done with this. And like I said, I don't necessarily care about everyone's opinions, nor is it really my thought process. War sucks. I don't want to see it. But
yes, to be completely clear, Beers and Lot podcast condemns the war in Ukraine and the actions of Putin. Yes, to be clear. All right, go ahead.
But I was thinking more long-term ramifications, not just IIHF, but like this will impact the NHL at some point. Like the NHL draft, let's see how many Russian kids get drafted, because they either have KHL contracts or they're going to sign KHL contracts. If you are in the Canadian Hockey League, they have the export draft. How many visas are going to be granted? Also, too, like especially if you're an NHL player where you have dual citizenship or you're a Russian national playing in on a work visa, let's see how many of those even get issued, or is it in a timely manner again? Like there could be guys that it's like it doesn't happen. And I remember hearing some of the interesting stories about how they got members of the Russian Five over, and even dealing with some of the guys like Zerdev, a few years ago for Columbus, like they had to, the Blue Jackets, the NHL, like had to pay a mob, like a mob contract, like $1.2 million to just let him go, just because they were shaking him down.
The story about Evgeny Malkin getting out of Russia too. Yeah. I mean,
same thing.
It's a theme. This is how it works.
Well, I know too, like F1, they're not having the Russian Grand Prix. There's a Russian driver who I don't know what team he's on, but he has no sponsors at the moment. And he's also like his spot in the driver's seat. They just may put that on hold for a while. Right. All the teams playing World Cup qualifying right now, that's A, not going to happen. And B, they're banned from FIFA. Yeah. And FIFA is a much bigger organization than
FIFA and UEFA, right?
And UEFA. Yeah. Well, UEFA just had they have Russian clubs in the Champions League. And then the last couple of years, they've had it once again in St. Petersburg. It's kind of like a, kind of stable host site, because all the UEFA Champions League matches are at, split leg, home and home. And then the final is a 1-game showdown. And that's always it's St. Petersburg at a neutral site. So we'll see.
Right. Well, on the flip side of that too, there's also a couple stories coming out. There's one about Winnipeg is going to have the Ukrainian Husli chorus. It's going to do their anthems, I think, tonight. This is Tuesday, so they'll do it for their Tuesday game.
Very cool.
To do both the anthems, and that's a really cool way to show support for Ukraine, which, in the opinion of Beers in the Lot, everybody should show support for Ukraine. We normally don't get into politics just because it's not a good idea, but this isn't just an exception. This is right. This is morally, ethically, this is our stance. We're proud to say we support Ukraine.
I would also like to add too, like, we try to just make some people laugh, have a few beers, and like, just, I don't know. I especially feel since we started during COVID, it's been a stressful time for everyone. Let's just admit it. All of us, every single person, whether you're a little 2-year-old, a dog, or, anyone working to support their families or just hanging out. Like, it's been not exactly fun. There's been a lot of crazy stuff in the last 3 years. I feel we don't bring any of that up because it's just, we just want to have fun, enjoy it, and be an escape for 20 or 30 minutes. If you listen, we do appreciate our listeners.
Yeah, we just can't really avoid this topic this week. So that's enough about it. Let's find something else fun to talk about. Anything happen Sunday
Taco Bell's bringing the Choco Taco back. You know that? That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty big news.
Did I also hear they're bringing back the Mexican pizza?
Oh,
yeah,
really good.
My favorite. So Danny and I, for years, I remember when the Pens got Eric Tangradi. What deal was that? Was that also the Kunitz trade? Yes, they got Kunitz and Tangradi, or maybe from Anaheim for Whitney, I think. Anyway, Danny was like, this guy's going to be awesome. He's stellar. And I jokingly said, being Johnny Armchair, that guy's a bum. He's horrible, whatever. And so Danny for years was like, he's going to do it this year. He's going to do it this year. Well, my favorite guy, exactly. My buddy was when he was drafted out of the University of Denver, Bo Bennett. And I was always like, this is his year. He's going to do it. And he just constantly just would have stuff. He's like a big on Instagram, and he's a big Mexican pizza guy. Like, he had something like he had a appendicitis or something. I don't know exactly what, but like he made a joke like another day for me, and he's in the hospital, and he like made the joke like the only thing keeping me through this is that I can get a Mexican pizza soon from Taco Bell's. I remember seeing that a while ago. He's actually a really good follow, Bo Bennett.
So, he's hilarious.
The curse of Bo Bennett.
He knows the memes about him and all that. Like, he fully embraces it and makes his own. He's funny.
Actually, one of the best things he's ever done, when Phil got traded to Arizona, like maybe 2 months later, he was in, I don't remember what organization he was at, but he ended up signing in Tucson, the Arizona AHL club, and he put something on like, where Phil goes, I go. Like, it was just funny. Like, he's still just as a guy who also likes to troll and make fun of himself. Like, can't joke about yourself, can't make jokes. It's the rule. So
it's true.
Yeah, I really hope to see they bring back the chili cheese burrito.
So do toilet salesmen everywhere. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back here. That was a pretty good one. We actually laughed about that for another minute or so and made a bunch more jokes. I actually clipped it all and put it in Discord. So if you want to listen to the contagious laughter and additional jokes, a little bonus content there, you can find it in the general channel in Discord. So there we go. My Discord plug is done for this week. On to more important stuff, like thanking you for your listen. We appreciate your support. If you made it this far, you're definitely a fan. Tell your friends, tell your teammates about our show. It helps us get more listens, and that's always good. So thank you so much for your support. Well, that's it for me. We'll catch you next week. See ya.